Hi there, welcome to this Elkchemist chemistry video looking at percentage yield. In this video I'm going to explain what a percentage yield is, how to calculate the percentage yield, and also why reactions don't go to 100% yield. So percentage yield is exactly what it sounds like. It is a measurement of how effectively a reaction produces the product we wish to make. So if a reaction were truly flawless and perfect in nature, then it will be able to produce the amount of product predicted mathematically for a molar calculation, a reacting mass calculation, from the exact amount of starting reactants present. That would be a yield of 100%. Now we call that the theoretical yield because in actuality it is impossible for a reaction to be utterly perfect and flawless. Now let's define the term percentage from a mathematical viewpoint. A percentage is a number or ratio that can be expressed as a fraction of 100. So what's a percentage yield? Well, it's a value that represents the amount of product a reaction has been able to produce as a fraction of 100. Then you divide this number by the theoretical yield, what the reaction could have made if it had been 100% perfect. This is a mathematical value calculated by a reacting mass calculation in most circumstances. Finally, you multiply that value by 100 to convert that decimal into a percentage value. At this point in the video, I want to explain the reasons why chemical reactions don't produce 100% yields. At this point, you might want to think about these for yourselves and pause the video and then play again to get the reveal and to see how close you came to the real answers. The first reason is that it's likely the reactants may not be absolutely pure. They may have a small proportion of impurities that will react in different ways, producing different products, and therefore your yield will not be able to be 100%. The second reason is that some product may be lost in transfer, i.e. left behind on the apparatus as it's transferred from step to step in a multi-step process. I can illustrate that point with a really simple analogy. Imagine this water is our product, and as I transfer it from step 1 into step 2, and from step 2 into step 3, and from step 3 into step 4, minute amounts of product will be left behind in these cups. You can see there's dribbles of water left behind in every single vessel before step 4. And that's exactly what happens in a multi-step reaction process. Small amounts of product are left behind on the apparatus as we move from the first to second to third to fourth to whatever step may be in the future, and that is unfortunately unavoidable. Reason 3 is known as side reactions, i.e. unexpected reactions taking place which don't produce the wanted or expected product but a different product, therefore decreasing the percentage of the product we were expecting to produce. Reason 4 is incomplete reactions. The reaction conditions themselves may not be sufficiently vigorous to completely react the two reactants together in the proportions presented. Some react together, but some are left over, unreacted, and therefore we cannot feasibly produce a 100% yield if the reaction does not go to completion. And finally, reason 5, the reaction itself may be a reversible reaction, i.e. some of the product is always decomposing to reform the reactant molecules, therefore it is literally impossible to produce 100% yield in any reversible reaction. Okay guys, just before we work through this one example, if you find the video useful, you could always think about giving it a like, you could always subscribe to the channel, you could even ring the bell to keep notified of our latest content, which comes out ideally on a weekly basis. You could even share this video or other videos on the channel with friends studying chemistry to help them as well. As always, your support is hugely appreciated and helps motivate me to make more and more videos to help as many students as possible with their learning in chemistry. Let's carry on. So these sorts of questions present the ideal opportunity to do a reacting mass calculation practice along with the percentage yield question, just so we can see where that theoretical yield actually comes from. So let's imagine, for example, we are being asked to find out what mass of titanium tetrachloride is formed in this reaction if we start with 6 kilograms or 6,000 grams of carbon. This allows us to do the three-step reacting mass calculation approach. Just a quick note before we start that 3-step calculation. What I've done here is I put a coloured square around the carbon with a tick because that's the substance we know the mass of. And then secondly, I've labelled the thing we're looking for the mass of in the question with a second different coloured box and a question mark. And our objective is to get from the ticked substance mass to the unknown substance mass through this 1, 2, 3 step method. Step 1 is to find out how many moles of carbon we have if we have 6,000 grams of carbon present. Moles is calculated by taking the mass in grams and dividing it by the relative mass of the substance involved. So we have 6,000 grams of carbon, and the relative mass of carbon from the periodic table is 12. So 6,000 divided by 12 gives us 500 moles of carbon present. The second step in the method is known as the molar ratio. So what is a molar ratio? Well, it is the ratio of reacting moles presented by the balanced equation in the question. What the question is telling us is if we had 2 moles of carbon atoms, they would react predictably in this particular reaction to form 1 mole of titanium tetrachloride. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio of carbon to TiCl4. Now we apply that ratio to the information we have in the question itself. We actually have 500 moles of carbon, not just 2 moles. But the same 2-to-1 ratio will apply. So if we divide 500 by 2, that gives us 250 moles of TiCl4 formed, because we're still following through that 2-to-1 ratio and applying it to the number of moles we actually have present in our experiment. The third step is to convert the moles of the substance we now are looking for back into a mass. So that again is a mole mass conversion calculation. Mass is calculated by taking the number of moles and multiplying by the relative mass of the substance. So we would take 250 moles, our value from the previous section, multiplied by the relative mass of titanium tetrachloride. That's 48 is the relative mass of titanium, and 35.5 for 1 chlorine, multiplied by 4 because the formula contains 4 chloride ions in it. So 35.5 times 4 plus 48 times 250 gives us 47,500 grams worth of TiCl4. In other words, 47.5 kilograms of titanium chloride could be formed if this reaction was perfect. So this is our theoretical yield. Mathematically, if the reaction was absolutely mathematically perfect in its conversion of reactants to products, we would form 47.5 kilograms of titanium tetrachloride. So our theoretical yield there was 47.5 kilograms. Now let's imagine we do the reaction in the real world and we actually get a real world yield of 38 kilograms, less than the theoretical yield. Our percentage yield calculation would therefore be 38 kilograms divided by 47.5 kilograms times by 100 to convert percentage, giving us a percentage yield of 80%. Now actually in the real world, that's a pretty decent percentage yield, and any industrial chemist would be pretty happy if they managed to get that level of successful production of the product they're looking for. Okay guys, that brings percentage yield calculations to a close. I really hope you found that useful, and a little recap of reactive mass in there as well. Wonderful talking to you as always, and I look forward to talking to you in the next Elkchemist chemistry video. Take care. Bye now.